Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan at the NFL Draft is the Trudge Report. We're not really there. We wish we were, but no. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. We are a recovery-based podcast. Even if you don't believe us and we talk too long on fast food topics, I promise we are a recovery-based podcast. We're here to also talk about a handful of other stuff, from sports to trending topics to whatever is on Corey's mind. Anything we have going on in our lives. You can check out new episodes every Tuesday on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch our episodes. They come out on YouTube and Facebook every Friday. Please remember to like and share on all listening platforms. Download and stream those episodes. And then if you want to go back and watch them, please do so as well. We are all fairly attractive, early to middle-aged men. We want to give a special shout out to Miss Janine Stella, our wonderful producer, Stella Management or Stella Mix Podcast Management. And we are happy to be here. We're coming to you a day early. Well, we are recording this a day early on Thursday. Some of us got some family plans Friday and Saturday, but we're happy to be here. Good evening, gentlemen. As always, let's go around the awkward. How's everybody doing?
Hi.
Ooh, yo. Corey got it in quick.
Yeah, I always get it in quick.
So that's what she said. Salute from Bill. You can't see that until Friday, but salute from Bill. And what's up, Greg? How are you, bro?
I'm good. I'm more bricked up than an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Nice.
I just wanted to first off start off by saying it is lovely to see you gentlemen one day early. It was mostly my scheduling conflict that required us to do so. So I wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that. Thank you guys very much for adjusting the schedule. Thank Janine for adjusting to our schedule. She's done a great job. And definitely to give a shout out to my lovely girlfriend Lauren, who will celebrate her birthday tomorrow.
You made it, Lauren.
Friday.
Lauren's been waiting for that.
She has been waiting for that. So yeah, I would love to give her a shout out. We got a nice little weekend planned. Home Depot, maybe Bed Bath and Beyond. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
They're not even open anymore.
They are in Ohio, Corey.
Oh.
Still, they're hanging on. They're clinging on.
And in Florida, Corey.
And in
not
right down the road from us.
Not in the undisclosed location.
Did that one close down?
It's gone by Chuck E. Cheese.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I stand corrected.
Which that Chuck E. Cheese needed to close first. Sorry, Greg. I'm taking. Yep.
They redid the Chuck E. Cheese. They redid it all.
It's terrible. It's still terrible.
They got rid of the ball pit though.
Very scary. Very scary.
Low key, their pizza, low key, is pretty good. I got to be honest.
I'm not allowed
way better
within
than
400 feet of a Chuck E. Cheese, so I wouldn't know. But
sweet.
Across all 50 states or just South Florida?
Ohio.
Well, wherever there's a heavy police presence.
Oh. That's not around here. It doesn't seem like. Although Martin County Sheriff did just confiscate 20,000 fentanyl pills the other day, which I thought was pretty good.
For anybody that's not from that area, I just want to give a quick shout out to Martin County Sheriff's Facebook page. It is heavily entertaining and always a good read.
I have something that we could explore during whenever you guys let me talk.
All right, right now.
No,
you're talking.
No. It's Greg's time. I'm just taking it up.
All right, so
well, we're not really. Yeah. We're just kind of doing it.
We're not
tonight,
constricted.
So.
We're doing it.
You can cut Greg off whenever you want, Corey.
Okay, fine. Greg, can I just, since you shouted out the Martin County Sheriff's Office, just
fired in.
Dude, very conflicting post this week. I think earlier this week is that Martin County Sheriff was going to the outgoing Martin County Sheriff was going to speak against some zoning revisions, I guess, which would something about like if it was passed, a sober home would immediately start taking clients. As of now, they're not allowed to, I think, was the gist of what I read. And he's speaking against that sober home opening up. Okay, actually, let me correct myself. It's not a sober home. They called it a sober home. It's a rehab.
Big difference.
Yes, very big difference. It's not a sober living home where you go and get a job and pay your own rent there or whatever. This is a rehab that's going to be taking insurance and all that stuff. To be honest, I felt a little bit differently once I figured that out. Slightly.
These are people capitalizing off people's addiction.
So wait,
is what it is.
He's speaking against Martin County opening another rehab.
Yes.
Basically.
Essentially.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Essentially. So the thought. So this is where I'm conflicted. They made very valid points. Lots of people getting shipped into Florida from out of state. As we all know, unfortunately, like the overall recovery rate, if you want to throw a number on it, is not very high. I guess, whatever those statistics are based on, like entries into rehab, whatever. But we know it's not very high. Unfortunately, it happens that way. But so his point is, there's people coming in from out of state. They go to their rehab for a little bit. They AMA. They end up in our homeless community, and it makes Martin County a less desirable place to live, I guess.
Or dead.
Or dead, yes. So like on one hand, I'm thinking like as a resident of this area, I'm thinking like, well, kind of got a point there. Like we're just kind of transferring one state's problem to our state. But as the drug addict who did get shipped here from out of state, and it worked out, right? And I'm a pretty good member of society, productive member of society, I think, if I speak for myself. You know, then I'm thinking like, well, what about those people? What about the people like me that it, you know, but, and then we can get into the treatment thing where like Bill already talked about, like, yeah, I mean, like if you allow that to open up, you probably just made a few people absolutely rich, and debate the rights and wrongs of that all day long. But
at the end of the day, is it for the greater good?
Well, here's my question.
Is it helping people?
Are people calling somewhere to get help and they can't get in? No, they're not.
True.
You know what I mean? Do you want Martin County to be known as the rehab capital of the world? Like, I don't. You know, yeah. So it's like, yeah, you guys, 50% of this group did get shipped in that route, but it's not like the opportunity's not there if you want it. You know what I mean? Somewhere else. It's just, we just don't need like 100 of them is how I look at it.
And there is a bunch. You're right.
There's a whole bunch. And honestly, like from working in that industry a while ago, most of them are shady. I mean, I had a job, a dang good job. I was working with medical professionals, people with master's degrees and higher. And our entire department was eliminated overnight by these people. You know, they're just. I mean,
greed, man. We have plenty of friends who have been in and out of that industry and stuff, and I guess some might say it panned out for them, and some will absolutely not say that. I don't know. I've never totally. I mean, we know this amongst ourselves, but for the pod, the treatment industry sucks. Let me just say it like that. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Well,
keep it real.
I mean, here's the thing is like, you know, yes, there's documentaries and open trials and all kinds of stuff about scumbag people in the treatment industry, just like there are scumbag people in every other industry. Yeah. We live in a capitalist society now. Is there a higher per capita? I don't know. I don't have the facts right in front of me. I can say that during the almost 4 years I worked in treatment, I had a pretty good overall experience. It just wasn't for me. It was not for me. I couldn't, you know, really separate my program of recovery from what we were doing there at the treatment center. And I couldn't reconcile that for myself. But on the flip side of that, yes, there have been a lot of people that I've met, like through the different various treatment centers down there that aren't with us anymore. But there's been a good amount of people that are still here. And it's because that was their initial bridge into the recovery that they found. So who am I to sit here and say yay or nay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not touching any of that.
You're not gonna touch it? You're not gonna touch on it?
Leaving it alone. Leaving it alone.
I mean, it's bullshit. I think we have enough of them.
Yeah, I think. Let me say this.
I've never heard of somebody real quick, and then
no.
I've never heard of somebody, even me, homeless in Pittsburgh, that couldn't get into a rehab if I waited long enough. You know what I mean, or whatever. That we need. Like, my point of it is not. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't do that, but there are already options available. We don't need a plethora of options. You know what I mean?
Let's not forget that we're like, I got a bill for $98,000 after my last rehab stay.
Right.
And like, did I pay it? No. No,
Okay,
I did not pay it.
I used to audit charts, right? and all the time they bill thousands of dollars for people bringing free groups into the facility
Yeah,
that are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. It's insane to me.
Well,
So.
I was gonna say this. I looked at the detail of that bill, and every time I pissed in a cup, it was $3,500.
Yeah,
And you were
And
pissing in that cup how many times a week?
right.
three times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I think you guys are fully aware of my position on all this over the years.
I mean, this is kinda-
we'll leave it at that.
I think
He's
it's
very
controversial.
Greg, I'm taking something offline with you about your overall experience. Just
No,
let's take that
absolutely.
offline.
got called the
Absolutely, yeah.
principal's office.
We can talk all day and night about it, but at the end of the day,
I don't want
what
to
Corey
spend too
just
much
brought
time
up.
on this, but
Yeah, what Corey just brought up. What is just the entire medical profession do? It's not just the
Oh
treatment.
yeah, I mean,
I
you go
understand.
Good point.
listen, I got a $3,000 bill for a doctor to be in the room with me for 30 seconds and tell me he couldn't help me.
yeah,
You
that's
know
a
what I'm
big problem
saying?
in itself.
That's just capitalist America. That's
But
what that,
Let's cap it off with this, unless anybody else says it, because I didn't mean. I apologize. I did not mean to go.
Big-
I did
big
not.
pharma.
Yeah. Recovery is free. For
For
anybody
fun
that's
and
listening,
for free.
for fun and
Yes.
for free. It actually is for free.
Absolutely.
Now, not to say that we don't believe in a little detox day, and not to even say that the 30-day run isn't a wise decision for a lot. It was for me. It was a good thing. It panned out for me. But the back end of the treatment industry gets a little questionable, and we
Absolutely.
certainly do not have the time to discuss it tonight in full. But
Shit's
Recovery-
evil.
recovery's
Detox on your
free, guys.
couch.
I'll end with this.
true.
Guys, did you guys know the NFL draft is on?
It is.
Yeah.
it is. It is.
Sean's Commanders, Jaden Daniels. How are you
Yep.
feeling, Sean? Let's take it live to Sean. Live reaction.
So we were talking about this. You might have been peeing when we were talking about this. I don't hate it at all. I would have taken any of those top three. I would have even taken McCarthy, Penix, or Bo Nix if it were me. And I'm certainly not a professional when it comes to scouting and all that stuff. If it were me, I would have taken Drake May. I like him. I think he's more NFL ready. Maybe he will flop, maybe he won't. But we needed a quarterback. Truly anything was better than what we had. And I think we're building. We're building. So happy about it.
I love the pick, man. I think he's the real deal. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yep.
Greg, what do you
Caleb
think?
Williams goes first overall naturally, and then
Caleb
Drake May
Williams
goes
will
three.
be a bust.
I agree
Caleb
with
Williams
Greg.
will be a bust. He's not.
Now,
He's
so
not what
here's
they're
the
making him
question
out
then.
to be.
So here's the question then, Greg. Is he going to be a bust, or is he going to be a bust because of going to Chicago? Like
Well, they don't have a great culture in Chicago.
that's
They
what I
haven't
mean. Like
very long
going
time.
somewhere else, would he have been a superstar or a great legendary quarterback, or even
And the other
just
thing
a
is,
great quarterback going somewhere else that does have a culture?
I don't think that Chicago gave Justin Fields a fair shot. This kid had, and
That's my
you
point.
know what? Watch him shine under Mike Tomlin. Watch him. Whether or not, obviously Russ is probably going to be the starter for a good chunk of the season, barring some injury or some big
He's named a
dude.
starter. That
But
was
he-
conditional of him signing
Things
the contract.
change
Right.
though.
Right. Things do.
Well, he will
change.
get the
It's
first crack
NFL.
at it, guaranteed.
Yeah,
The Steelers
absolutely.
will not back down on their
Well,
word.
So if you're saying-
watch what
oh, sorry, go
Justin
ahead, Greg.
Fields does under Mike Tomlin, and in that organization, that even though it is, I can't
Don't
stand them. I got to
stop.
give credit where credit's due. You know what I'm saying? They're a winning organization.
Come on.
They have a great winning culture there.
Come on.
And
Stroke
even
it.
though the
Keep it
city
going.
is just
How many Super
Stroke
Bowls?
it.
scumbags who don't wear undershirts.
That's right, baby.
you know,
Pittsburgh's back
I
in the
got-
house.
Hats off to them, but I
So
don't
that's
think
the
Chicago
question.
gave him a fair shot. They had him 1 year where he had good receivers to throw to. I think he played in the 3 years that he was there, 3 years that he was there, under 3 different offensive coordinators. You know what I'm saying? They never gave this guy a fair shot, and being a Browns fan and being once we picked Baker, which obviously as things shook out in that draft, there were much better options after Baker, Lamar being one of them, Josh Allen being another. But
Well, Baker just got $100 million contract, and this goes back to
Right.
Sean's
Well, but
point
that's what I'm saying.
that
Is
Caleb Williams, a man who paints his fingernails, cries on his mommy's lap, when he's in the
Right.
middle of Chicago in December in Chicago, he's not going to like it very much. He's
Coming from
like
SoCal.
Baker Mayfield is not going to like Cleveland. Like he goes to Tampa, a better system. But Caleb Williams is screwed, dude, in Chicago. I mean, you're right.
So so then let's answer the question. Is Caleb Williams a good or a great quarterback if he was in a good culture? If he went to Mike Tomlin right now,
no.
is Caleb Williams
I say no. I say he
Pro Bowl
stinks.
quarterback in 3 years? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I think he's one of the most
Here's the deal.
overrated.
I think he's overhyped, and I think it's in his ego. Like now, it's conditioned his ego. The fact that he refused to do anything for the combine, didn't go out there for the pro day, nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Everything I've heard leading up to the combine, though, everything I heard from all the college game day, like Pete Thamel and all those guys, that he was a top-notch young man, had a good head on his shoulders, everything, and then you hear the combine stuff. So I don't know. I'll hold if I'm so. Are you buying, selling, or holding your stock on Caleb Williams? Then I'll hold.
I'll hold. I'll hold. Who did USC play? That's all I'm saying. Yeah, we could rank them. We could rank this dude as the best quarterback to come out of this draft. But who did they play?
He didn't play well in all those games either.
Correct.
No.
And just so you guys know,
a lot of that was the defense too. Let's be honest. They had a shitty defense, but
Justin Fields in the last 17 games versus Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields 29 touchdowns, Lamar 24. Fields 4,200 passing yard or total yards, Lamar 44. 19 giveaways versus 15. Lamar takes that slightly as well. 94 passer rating for Lamar, 84 for Fields. So I think Fields is the real deal once he gets in a real situation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep moving down a little bit. So we don't have to talk much about Jaden Daniels unless you guys want to say anything.
No.
Drake made it to the Patriots. The real intriguing one to me is Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals so far.
Yep.
And Malik Neighbors just went to the Giants, by the way.
Right.
Yep.
Leak.
Marvin Harrison he's the truth.
Yep.
Yes.
And
He's
so
the
is
truth.
Neighbors.
Yeah,
So
I would give the edge to Harrison though.
And so is the dude from Washington, Odunze. I
Rome
love
Odunze,
watching that guy play.
Mhm.
They're great. Yeah.
They're all three of them.
Marvin Harrison.
Arizona. Kyler stays healthy.
This is one of the best draft for prospects that I've seen in a while. I'm really excited about.
I don't know
these.
any of these people.
We know.
Never heard of any of them.
You should have done your homework, Corey.
No. I watched the draft last year, and it was cool because we got Jalen Carter, and he turned out to be pretty good so far.
Fucking.
But I had no idea who he was
over
before that.
drunk.
You
That
know,
was before the draft, wasn't it? Or did that happen after?
Well,
listen,
more money.
we'll take the scraps, man. We'll take them in.
All right.
Hey, can I mention something really quick? Football.
Absolutely, Corey.
Just signed the best wide receiver in the league to a 3-year contract extension. For
They traded for Marvin Harrison already?
Yeah. Where did they got Justin Jefferson or?
Yeah, AJ Brown, $96 million.
George Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. AJ Brown is a phenomenal
the
wide
best.
receiver.
Best
He's not
receiver
the
in the
best.
league. Oh yeah,
He is not.
He is not
phenomenal.
You can't just throw this stuff out there. You have to come
top
with facts.
5.
Back that shit up, dude.
What?
I'll give him top 5 when he's
back it up.
healthy and when he's not doing sideline antics and posting on Twitter. And
Listen,
and
that was blown way out of proportion by the media. We all know how the media can be.
Yeah, they
Way
never
up.
take Philly. Yeah, they always give Philly their credit and never take anything out of context.
No, they do.
I got a question, guys. Have any of you had the opportunity to fully absorb the Taylor Swift album yet?
I listened to the first 18 songs.
Oh, that's it.
Corey,
Isn't how
whatever
many
I found,
are there?
whatever I
31.
found on YouTube. Yeah,
Jesus.
whatever I found on YouTube only had the first 18, but
Okay, there was only 15 songs to begin with, I think,
or maybe
So-
15, but
Okay.
whatever.
Well, you got
Um,
Spotify.
So what do
Yeah,
you
I'll
think?
find it. I'm not worried about it. I thought there is a song titled Florida, which I thought was kind of cool. She shouts out Florida. There's a couple really good songs, and most of them are just kind of like whatever. That's my quick quick take.
Apparently
We hashed this out.
There's a Travis
We hashed
Kelsey.
this out on the group thread
I know.
earlier.
Right. I know we talked about it already, but
I was working. I
No, I
missed
know.
it.
I know.
okay. I was
what I'll
supposed to be
say.
working, but this album truly, and I'm not an expert on Taylor Swift. I do like her and I like her music, but I can't name more than 10 songs. I can't name. I don't think. But that being said, the research I've done, this album truly was not for the masses. It was not a commercial album. There's not one song on there that I think is going to end up in a Super Bowl commercial, like I mentioned earlier. And I kind of respect that, man. I like deep tracks, and she just let go 31 of them. So I know it's not everybody's favorite thing. I know it's not going to appeal to anybody who's really not a fan. And I don't even like. There's not really one song yet that is like caught me. And I'm not like. I mean, it's played in my house all day long, but that's not me. But it's still good. It's decent, you know. And I think her fans really like it, so I think that's where she was gearing it towards. So it's fine.
We know
But I
Greg.
think-
It's Greg's new favorite album.
Yeah.
I tried to give it a fair shot. Maybe like I was saying to the guys earlier, maybe I was having a little bit of bias because I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I tried to give it a shot. Meh.
Yeah, this was not a good one. Even my wife, who's like a huge Swiftie, said the same thing. And I had to tell her, like, no, let's go down the list. Listen, there are a couple really good songs. Like I can't think of the name of it now, Corey, but the one, "Little Old Me" or whatever. I thought that was a badass
Who's
song.
afraid of little old me?
I thought that was a badass song. Yeah. But-
Never has somebody in history gotten so much from so little. I will say that. She is very
She's a great performer.
thrifty in what she receives.
This was not a good one. I do truly think she has some unbelievable music, and I said that earlier, but I don't think this wasn't even my.
Do you think that because once Scooter left, like his group of ghostwriters left with him, or do you guys think that it was new ghostwriters that weren't as good?
I don't think it's ghostwriters.
Maybe,
Okay.
Long pause.
like it's like meaning somebody's writing her music?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
I think so.
I don't think she is. I think she's writing her own music.
All right. Well,
You know who also is writing their own music, guys?
Or at least I know she did during those COVID albums like Exile and all that stuff. I know she did.
She's always written her own music. There's no way. Also, Dave Matthews
Can't
Band
be true.
also writes their own music, and they are being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
who
Yes,
is?
they are.
Sure.
Finally.
after being snubbed in 2019.
Did I see that they're letting what's his name in too?
Who? Ozzy? Ozzy's going in.
No, the guy from Dave Matthews. I can't think of his name.
Oh,
right
Oh, Boyd Tinsley will be
That
there. Yes.
yo, well, he's getting inducted. Whether he is there or not is a different
Right.
story.
Yeah. He might
Yeah,
be too
yeah,
wasted to show up. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
shout out to Boyd.
that's good stuff.
Apparently, his social media is just littered
That's
with
good
videos
stuff.
of a stray cat. So,
Yeah, but that dude can hammer out that fiddle, boy.
yeah, dude. I'd like to see them just get another violin player. If it's not Boyd, I don't care. But
JC Latham to Who do
Tennessee.
you go to, Sean? Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Atlanta Falcons. Falcons could be low key good this year.
That tackle they just took is 6'6", 340.
Yeah,
That's a big boy.
360 is what I'm seeing. 360.
Or three,
a big-
6'6",
Yo, he can probably move better than all of us.
3'6"
Truthfully.
Mafia. Yeah, that dude.
We'll come back. We'll touch back on the draft too, but I mean NBA playoffs full swing. There's been some duds. There's been some great games.
Mhm.
Sorry to Corey, but his freaking Sixers got bodied the other night, and then the late game, the Denver LA game that same night, Tuesday night. What
Late night.
unbelievable finishes! What unbelievable finishes those games were.
I felt really good
Or
about
Monday
my
night, whatever it was.
Cavs in the first two games, and then tonight, currently they're getting bodied by fucking 40 points. So
Jesus.
yep. So
The Miami
Bill
Heat.
asked why I was giving him so much hate. That's why. Shit like that right there.
The Miami Heat stepped up big last night and put the
Oh, that
Celtics
was
in
a
their place. That was epic to
clutch
watch,
game.
dude.
Yep.
Epic to
Eric
watch.
Spoelstra is the best coach in the league.
Thank you.
That
I was
that
gonna.
I'll get down with. I'll get down with that for sure.
100%.
He really is unbelievable. He's like, I think he would be a great like therapist too. And I'm not being funny with that. Like he's so good at motivating and like making you feel like you are. And I think Pat Riley's got a lot to do with that too. I mean, that culture.
Well, I was
there,
going to
the
say,
Heat
yeah, that's a
culture is
Pat
unbelievable.
Riley. He's a Pat Riley protege through and
Yeah.
through.
He's the only coach that ever coached LeBron that actually is a better coach than LeBron is
Because
a
of
player.
it.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like everybody
Agreed.
else, Ty Lue, all them. You know, take Darvin Ham's a joke. You know,
What about
Frank
David
Vogel,
Blatt?
Well, they'll hire like LeBron's
Yeah.
cousin to coach, and like
Yeah.
the dude just sits there and fucking.
Mhm.
Let's take a quick break.
This week's episode is brought to you by Kohler Construction LLC, your leading roof, window, and siding expert in the greater Twin Cities area. That's going to be Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota, for those of you that didn't excel in geography. So, if those 12 feet of snow have finally caused your roof to cave in, if you're still rocking single pane windows that rattle every time the wind blows, if the eclipse burned a moon-sized hole in the side of your house, or if you just need a great value Henry Cavill lookalike to show up at your home and talk to you about golf, baseball, or general construction, then call Corey at 612-471-3248 and let Kohler Construction take care of business.
Now back to the guys.
I just placed a bet on the Sixers winning tonight.
I mean, truthfully though, it's not a bad bet because they're at home
No.
finally, and they're going to be pissed. Like they're
It's-
really pissed.
It's 58-55.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad. But nobody. I mean, 8 points in 27 seconds the other night when the Knicks beat them. What an unbelievable call! It the refs missed a call. Call whatever you want. Call a definitive timeout. Kyle Lowry should have called the timeout on the baseline. Tyrese Maxey could have called the timeout, and Nick Nurse, say with your chest, call the fucking timeout because it did look like he kind of did, but it wasn't definitive.
Yeah, you gotta
Like, it
step
wasn't.
up.
And then
in
he
that one.
and then he did this. Like that's never been timeout. I'm sorry, never, ever.
Just pointing to his hand. I point at my hand sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I do when I got a boo boo. When I got a boo boo on my hand, I point at it like that. So
Nice.
That's what Grace does too. My daughter.
yeah, boo boo. That's a
But-
boo boo.
There's been some good games.
Well, I placed
You know.
money on them because Bill told me to. He promotes gambling, and I took him up on it. So
I do not promote gambling, Corey. And you're slipping down a slippery slope.
I just put a lot of money on the Steelers winning the Super Bowl.
Well, that's a good bet.
I know.
If he promoted gambling, that would be a good bet. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
Oh.
I'll promote
Um,
Steelers betting all day, but not any other gambling.
Oh, real quick, guys. Possibly next week, I want to have a cold open video to put on the watching part of the pod. Obviously, the listeners won't hear, but so my mother just turned 70 years old. Shout out to Suzanne. Suzanne gets a lot of play on this
Happy
podcast.
Yes, she
birthday.
does. But we
She
love you.
turned-
You're worth every bit of it.
Yes, she is. So I am
Angel
taking her.
sending Sean to Jamaica.
Listen to this, dude. I am taking her
To Jamaica.
skydiving on Monday for her 70th
No,
birthday.
boy.
God.
Now that's a story.
My wife is going. My wife is going, and my mom's friend is going. Now, Corey, you'll be happy to know that some of you know that I've been skydiving once. My wife and I went 2 summers ago with a whole bunch of our friends. A lot of them listen to this podcast. Shout out to all of you. Exhilarating, unbelievable. Like words cannot describe the unbelievable experience I had. I don't need to do it again. I'm good. So I'm just taking them on Monday. I'm probably just going to hang. I may go. We'll see. My wife says I'll probably decide to at the last minute. But right now, my wife, my mom, and my mom's friend are going. And for her 70th birthday, she is pumped. She is pumped. And I would love to, if she gets the video portion of it, which I'll offer, I want to like maybe play that for the watching part, like the cold open, I think it would be pretty cool. So
I'm super happy for
mentioning that. I was going to say Corey is in like the middle of a full blown panic attack. From you
I
just
I know.
mentioned.
He
hate
was
this.
2 years ago when we all went.
Dude, every one of my friends that does this shit feels the need to let me know about it
I appreciate
beforehand.
that you care.
No,
You
just
went
tell me
for it?
after. No, I will never
Oh.
go. I would never jump
would
out of
never
a
go
perfectly
either.
good airplane, Bill. You
Okay.
just let me know after. I want to, like, if you die,
you ever
I
been,
want
Greg?
it to be a surprise.
Okay.
I don't want to anticipate your death.
Have you ever been, Greg?
I have not, but I'd love to go. And
It's-
you don't
it's
even have to
fucking
give
cool.
me. Listen, you don't have to give me a parachute. If
It's
I
low.
die, I die.
Okay.
Let's go.
My
I
man.
think you kind of
That's-
guaranteed
that's
to
called
die
being
if you jump that
suicidal.
high without
Yeah.
a gun.
Greg, we're about to
Well,
Baker
you
Act
know,
your ass.
Yeah,
There's a in the famous
Yeah.
words of Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, ain't found a way to kill me yet.
he went out a way better way than skydiving accident.
Well,
so.
that's true. Also,
wait a
this
second.
is
He
verified.
did die,
we went
though.
all the way.
He died?
Did die. He did die. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't sell yet.
Turn-
Keyword being
drugs.
yet. I think.
Drugs is
yeah,
how you
but
kill
still.
people.
but there, it's the yet part in there. It's the yet part. Also, we went across the country to Seattle. And
Yeah.
what's the famous thing in Seattle, boys? What is it? The fucking Space Needle. Corey
Oh.
would not. Corey was frozen. He would not venture.
It's so
into-
big, dude.
No,
It's so
I
tall.
don't like heights either. To
What
be
she
honest
said.
with you, Corey.
Dude, it was so cool.
I
It was
do-
so-
She
I
said.
do slightly regret not doing it, but I'm sure that I'll have another opportunity one day. But
Space Needle has like the window floors that you walk
yeah,
on.
it's a
Oh,
window
That's the
floor,
shit
and
that's
it's- and
crazy,
it
dude.
moves, dude. It moves. So if
No.
you're looking
Oh,
down,
uh-uh.
you're
God.
Yeah, no.
It's
not
so
that
awesome.
Michael Penix to the Falcons.
much. I saw that.
That's good for them, I think.
Yep, I agree. He deserves
Bears are
it
on the
too.
clock
That
again.
guy deserves it.
Oh, what is it? 9th pick? They got.
See, I don't
Yeah.
really like him. I would take Bo Nix over him. I don't really like him. I
Mm.
think he's got a stupid looking face.
Well, Sean, that has nothing to do with his abilities,
It does, dude. It does.
What a
I don't like him.
stupid face.
dude.
am
come
I
on.
missing out not watching college football?
You're talking to me, yes. I love college football. Like absolutely love it. Watch
How
I
do
really
you-
like it, Corey.
This is how you know all these
Saturdays, love
people? This is how you guys know?
it. Yeah.
No, I know them all personally.
Gotta go skydiving with him.
Who's my team? Again, who's my team? Penn State? I mean, who is that? Like, they're
Yeah,
not, they don't do
they're-
anything.
Ooh, that's a
No,
that's a
they're-
Jerry
they're-
Sandusky move right there.
They're
boy.
really good, Corey. I mean,
They are?
they're top echelon, I would say. Well, it depends on how you want to define echelon, but they one or two games go a different way for them, and they're in the college football playoff conversation last year. And now with the new format, they'll totally get in because now they're doing it differently. But yeah, college football is a blast, dude. And you guys were good. You guys were good. You just happened to play in a division with Michigan, the defending national champions, and Ohio State, who say what you want, but they're always really good. So,
Always the Ohio State. Put some respect
So.
on that name.
guys, we're at our
quick,
hard
Sean,
we're at
I
our hard
do-
cutoff. Go ahead.
I do want to pull this up just to note. It's going to be real quick. Some positive news from federal regulation this week. FTC announces rule banning non-competes. FTC's final rule will generate over 85,000 new businesses, raise worker wages, lower healthcare costs, and boost innovation. I even believe some of that. But also, yeah, I do think that's a great thing. And if you've been trapped into a non-compete, I just want to put it out there to whoever hears, just in case, because I think they're bullshit. So I think it's a good federal law coming into play. And I know a lot of people that sign non-competes and will have to stay in a shitty job or can't move on in their industry because of that. So
I wish you brought that up 15
I'm a
minutes
man of the
ago.
people.
That was so random.
it's all right. This is
That-
what was the topic?
No,
today?
I guess it doesn't matter. It just was
right on
so
cue,
random.
Sean.
That'd
I'm
have
a
been,
man of the people.
Mhm.
That'd have been-
I announce things for
I
the
love it.
people.
yep. That would have been good to talk about 15
Some
minutes
man
ago
out there is going to
because-
tell his boss to go fuck himself tomorrow because the
Yeah.
non-compete laws in.
Absolutely.
So we got to salute that
As
guy.
they should. As they should.
So I don't know.
All right, so then real
All right.
quick, while we're on random stuff, I
Random
did
shit.
send, I did send Janine, our lovely producer, a
yeah.
sweet picture I found online earlier. If this isn't the most God bless America, hell yeah thing out there, I don't know what is. But the Ohio-based company Throwflame is selling a fire-spewing robot dog called the Terminator for
Nice.
$9,420.
Terminator.
That's it.
So in case anybody wants to know what Greg wants for Christmas, I
Under
want a
10 grand.
fucking
It's either that or an
robot
Apple Vision Pro. I
dog.
just don't know.
No. Give me the robot dog that spews fire, please. Okay. Not only is it just badass and great to have around like a party favor, can you imagine being the fucking burglar that decides to break into the house with a jumping robot flame throwing dog, dude? It's better home security than the best that money can buy for sure. So yeah,
Yeah.
mark me down.
Hands down.
Intrigued.
Me too.
Wow. My next 10 grand's going to a wrestling ring, so I'm out.
All right.
All right, well, guys, that's a good segue into some
Terrible
better
segue.
living and some spirituality. That's kind of the whole point, though. Again, for those of you who missed our recovery segment last week, we apologize. We got a good amount of feedback, at least I did throughout the week, that from some people in recovery and not in recovery, that the recovery portion of our podcast is their favorite part. So we are
That's a
conscious
miracle.
of that. We are conscious of that, and the four of us have discussed that as well. So I'm going to kick it. Let's see. We'll kick it to Bill first for this. And today we're talking about prayer meditation. So go ahead, Bill.
All right. So
Did I put you on
I'm
the
somebody
spot?
that was not in my head. I'm like, I hope he picks me last this time. But so I'm somebody that was an atheist for a long period of time. I grew up Roman Catholic, never paid attention in church, hated church, all that stuff, was forced to go. All that stuff happened with the church, further moved me away and proved my points of what was wrong with the world, right? But over time of getting my ass kicked over and over again, I developed a mind that was willing to accept some new ideas. And prayer and meditation for me is the crux of my day. I start my day with prayer. I start my day with breathing, breath work, meditation every morning. And to me, it's like really like the difference between a successful day and a non-successful day. So whenever I did hit this rock bottom point and I was told to pray, and first of all, you have to have somewhat of a relationship or be willing to have that relationship, or you're just going to be saying words and it's going to seem really pointless. We've discussed on previous episodes how to achieve some of that stuff. There's a multitude of ways to do that. Helping others, getting real with situations of your past, things like that open you up. And once you're opened up, I made a personal goal when I first started my recovery journey, that I was not going to say no to anyone's asking me to go to any sort of church or any sort of like spiritual demonstration. And in that first year, I went to a myriad of different churches and denominations, non-denominations, and I really kind of like cultivated what was to become. It was like clearing the groundwork, building something new for me. And then with the meditation portion of that, I actually ended up going to a Buddhist temple down south, and they had like an open meditation course there, because I couldn't meditate, dude. I couldn't sit still. And for my entire life, I just had a box open of some of my old stuff in school, and the reports on me were absolutely insane. Unorganized, couldn't sit still, compulsive, all those things that I carried on all the way through adulthood because I was a godless person with no purpose. So anyway, I started going to this Buddhist temple. I went a couple of times, and I learned the form of meditation. I probably learned more of like a stricter version of it, which was good for me at first, because after that, I've been able to kind of absorb that and transform it into what works best for me. What works best for me is getting on my couch, getting in a real personal space, thanking God with gratitude, and getting into breath work. I prefer Wim Hof breath work. If you don't know who Wim Hof is, he's the Iceman. He's the dude that he set the world record for amount of time in like a freezing conditions. This guy can basically regulate his own body temperature to absurd amounts. And anyway, he's developed himself through breath work, and the on YouTube they have free resources that you can look up, just Wim Hof meditation, and it's a guided meditation by him, and it is not really for, I would say, the faint of heart, because it's deep. Like when you first do it, you feel like you're doing a workout. I mean, it's crazy, and you're just laying on your couch. And the whole thing is, when I'm doing a real meditation, like I don't try to breathe just through my lungs. I try to breathe through my body and like let myself exist and hear the message. And there's times in these meditations, I was talking about this earlier today with somebody actually, where I've just broken out in tears, and I've broken out in tears of joy and relief. It's that important to me. It's opened up doors of, I'm personally someone who has layered, I know for a fact, has had layers and layers of trauma that diluted my thinking process. But I mean, it's really like shown me that path of where to go next. And almost like, I was just talking with a family member about this. It's almost like those boxes were unlocked when they needed to be, like when I could handle them. And I give an example of prayer and meditation in my life, how it works today. When I'm done with that meditation, I try to enter in a period of gratefulness and projection and affirmation of my life. So anyway, the meditation led me to a group of people that led me to this inner healing class. And I went to the inner healing class over the weekend. And I went into this thing. I had nothing, I knew nothing really about it, but several people I respect had actually told me to go to this. So I go in, it's me and this guy, it's this guided meditation basically, and he's obviously trained in this. And he talks me through this thing, and we just start unwrapping these layers of trauma, which from my recovery experience, which is similar to, I have a pretty good knowledge, better than most. Even he quickly spotted out of what my traumas were, right? But the whole point of this was to figure out where the first lie I told myself was, right? So as we went through there, we peeled the onion back, and finally I'm sitting in a room. I'm 6 years old. I'm sitting in a room. This is in meditation with some dude I just met right in front of me, mind you. And I'm sitting in a room by myself. I feel rejected. I feel abandoned. There's people around downstairs or whatever. I don't want to be around them, but I really do want to be around them because I feel abandoned. I had, by the way, for reference, at this point in my life, I had lost both my parents. I was taken away from my mom by the state. My dad passed away from drug addiction related things when I was 9 months old. And I had been taken in by my grandparents, who gave up their retirement to raise my brother and myself. So I find myself in this room, and I'm upset. I'm abandoned. And then he goes, well, look around the room. And I look around the room, and I see my grandmother there, who I have utmost respect for. And she's holding the rosary, and she's crying in the side of the room in a chair, and I had never seen this before. And I was like, please put all this stuff aside, put all this trauma aside. What is it? What is the lie? You know what I mean? And the lie struck me right there in the moment. It was, I told myself that my grandmother, for whatever reason, at 6 years old, that my grandmother did not want me to have a normal mother, and that I had already lost my father, and that she just didn't care. And as I grew older, this person that I was told gave up their retirement for me and all those things, I had this subliminal resentment against, and those two things intersected and wove and become demented, right? But when I realized that, I opened it up and I freed it in that course of meditation. And I sat there with it, and then I asked God to take it away and to heal it and to keep it away and keep it eradicated and let me move on to the next layer, and I prayed really hard on that, and I felt the release. I felt the release right there. And then I went back into the room, and I'm in the room, and this time 6-year-old me is giving my grandmother a big hug, and she's not crying. She's hugging me back. And I felt her presence. I felt God's presence, and I felt more relief. And I've been so blessed, because everything I have in this life of mine, I have because of my recovery, because of stuff like this, stuff like the fifth step stuff that we've done. And I felt more relief than I even feel worthy of, even though I know I am worthy. And boom, it was gone. And I discovered what as today would be the first lie. But the thing is, there's probably a lie deeper than that I still need to find as well. And that's just my course, man. I'm not perfect. Doesn't make me weak. It's just who I am. I'm on a journey to improve myself. I'm going to continue to do that. But prayer and meditation is the most powerful part of my day, man. Like prayer, talk to God, meditation, hopefully hear from God if I'm laying myself to Him properly and not worried about these worldly BS things. So, yeah, that's it for me, man. That's a good summary for myself. So, thanks for letting me let me talk about that.
Thank you, Bill. That was deep, man. That was good. Michener, you're up next, bud.
Who's JJ McCarthy?
A very good quarterback from the defending
No.
national champions.
Going to the Vikings. I like that, Bill. You know, one thing that you said is something that I try to remember as far as meditation goes, and it's, you always hear people say like, oh, I can't sit still for that long, I can't clear my mind, I can't this, I can't that. And meditation really isn't about any of that. It's not supposed to be a struggle, I don't think, at all. I don't think there's supposed to be expectations when going into meditation like that, you know. Dude, for me, the hardest part about meditating is taking the time and the discipline to actually do it. I was talking to Greg about this in a group chat. Man, I'll be on the ball about praying, you know. Praying is, for lack of a better way to put it, easy because doesn't take all that much time, you know, but like meditation is something that, you know, you kind of do have to devote time to. I think you know, there's times throughout my sobriety that I was on the ball with it, and lots of times that weren't. It's I don't know if I can say it's the one thing, but one of the main things that I wax and wane with. And you know, as we're talking about here and going to talk about further, I think I always have, we make fun of it, and I've allowed you guys to make fun of it. You're welcome. But I always have a grumpiness about me. I just enjoy it. That's my state. I like to do that to an extent. Now, like we've talked about before, there's a difference between that Corey, who likes to make some grumpy jokes and poke fun at certain things or whatever, and then there's a difference between that and the Corey that hasn't meditated in months, you know what I mean, and hasn't thought about anybody but himself for months and is wallowing in self-pity, and who is actually miserable and, you know, just not doing well. It all comes down to a prayer life and a meditation life. Sean, I remember one of the first when I not necessarily when I first met you, but one of the first conversations we had, certainly, at least just between us two, was I think I brought some problems to you, maybe. And to some degree, I was like, I don't even know why it was you, to be honest. I mean, no offense, but I just did. I went to Sean and I was, yeah, good. I went to Sean and was like, I got A, B, and C going on. You know, what do you think? I'm thinking you're gonna drop some answers on me, and first thing you say is, "How's your meditation? How's your meditation life going?" I'm like, not great, non-existent, maybe, you know. And you're like, start there. And honestly, anytime I've ever sought any spiritual advice or counsel from you or other people, that's always what it comes back to is, you know, how's your relationship with God? Our friend Brian used to say, every time you ask somebody how you're doing, you're really asking, how is your relationship with God? And I always felt like that was interesting. Very true. So
I like that.
Yeah. He had a lot of good ones. But you know, that's the main thing for me. It's about the discipline of doing it. You know, it doesn't always have to be the best. You don't always have to leave that 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, and feel like you literally just walked hand in hand with God. But sometimes you might, you know, sometimes you might feel like that. I do know for one thing, it centers me. It makes me, like, for whatever reason, you start your day like that. You start, or you go through the day thinking about other people, which is one of our goals here, right? You start like your thinking's on a higher plane. And yeah, man, I've reaped the consequences of not meditating. So have some Arizona green teas, and that's an insider, and we'll leave that there. But man, and it can be as simple. I want to say this, like there's definitely literature out there that has suggestive ways of meditating, reflecting at night on your day, reflecting on the day to come in the morning, whatever. There's plenty of stuff out there. But also like just as good, man, some YouTube videos, some guided meditations have been really good. Sean and I used to meditate at least once a week. And at least once or twice we meditated to instrumental versions of John Denver songs. That was sick. It was a good time.
They're still on my liked videos on my YouTube thing.
Yeah, dude,
I still listen to them every now and then.
Everybody loves Annie's song. Everybody loves that. So yeah, I mean that's kind of all I got. I just man, it's crucial in our way of life. I think it's crucial for us to be happy and all that. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Good stuff. GAP.
I'd like to start off by saying that Corey has never thrown a jug of Arizona tea or any other type of tea that matter in my presence, because we'd be having words if that ever happened.
You can't even prove that it ever happened, really. So
well, true. No prayer. I love what you guys have said so far, man. In short, prayer is how I ask God for help and for guidance, and meditation is how I shut up and listen for the answer. When I'm wrapped up in everything with active addiction, I'm a very disconnected individual, and that's part of the reason that I'm abusing every substance under the sun, right? I'm looking to reconnect, and I'm using alcohol, drugs, technology, sex, food, shopping, you name it, anything to make me feel connected again to the outside world and spiritually. And this is a really egocentric kind of way to live. My inner life is kind of only made up of objects that I chase for my own personal fulfillment. So, in recovery, like a lot of things in my life, we gotta turn that on its head and look at the other side of it, right? So, prayer and meditation become a huge part of my life, because I'm seeking to kind of detach myself from all that external activity and seek a new kind of connection internally. As to me, this is essential to my daily life. But as Corey was saying, man, like this is probably one of the more challenging parts of my recovery, because nobody's looking over my shoulder to make sure I'm doing it right. This is 100% on me. The guys here in this podcast, a few other very close friends, they can see if I'm, slacking here and there. And usually it's just my attitude towards things, my demeanor, my disposition. But one thing is for certain, like when I'm not disciplined in my prayer and meditation life, and I'm not seeking like a daily spiritual connection, it's pretty evident, and I drift right back into patterns of like resentment, selfishness, negative thinking, just overall discontentment. So a couple pretty steadfast rules I have for myself, as far as this is concerned. When I wake up in the morning, no phone for 30 minutes and no phone for 30 minutes before bed. That's my time. That's my quiet time. Sometimes that gets me in trouble. If guys from work are texting me, or if my girlfriend's texting me and wants to know, why I'm not responding to her, that's my time for myself. Right. And for my time with God, and for my quiet time. And I have to stay disciplined about that. When I'm praying, I'm asking God for wisdom and truth, for selfless thinking, and to help direct my thinking and actions towards kindness and empathy for the day, right? I don't really have issues with reciting certain prayers. I do it occasionally and often, but when I do feel like I'm starting to phone things in, I kind of keep it loose and just have a really candid conversation with my higher power, right? And that's the thing for me is sometimes it can just boil down to like, hey, big guy, I need help, and this is what I need help with, and can you? And I've found that whether or not you're doing it formally or informally, it's those real thoughts and that quiet time that matters the most, right? As far as my meditation is concerned, uh, I didn't know how to meditate coming into recovery. I didn't know what it meant. I had probably what Bill encountered at the Buddhist temple. Um, that was my idea of what meditation was. Um, and Sean and I spent a lot of time meditating in those first couple years of recovery, and I really do kind of owe it to him, for introducing me to a lot of the guided meditations and the different stuff that we were doing. And Bill, I'm right up there with, I love Wim Hof. I like to mix it up. Sometimes I do. Sean used to always play the honest guys on YouTube, man, and those guys are great. There's something about just what are they, Sean? Australian or British? I'm not sure what they are, but the dude's accent is just super calming.
Australian, I think.
He's Australian, yeah. But I do love the Wim Hof breathing exercises too. But yeah, I like to go outside on my porch in the early mornings when it's quiet and the woods are kind of just starting to wake up. If I don't do that, I do it inside a quiet room. I kind of have the tendency to live inside my own mind, and Bill had kind of mentioned too, like cultivating a new life, a new experience, right? And a lot of the time, like my own mind is it's an area of my life that's poorly tended to, right? So I look at meditation as kind of a way that I'm cultivating the space in which I'm spending a lot of my time, which is my mind, right? It's also worth mentioning that this kind of helps me immensely in seeing the areas of my life in which I'm wrong or selfish or dishonest, whatever um whatever it may be that's going on in my life, man. It's where I sit back and um just get quiet and wait for the answers to come, and inherently they do, especially if I'm being honest with myself. So that's what I got.
Cool, man. Thank you. I want to say, we're going to wrap it up here. I'll say a couple quick things. I want to say, yes, by what you guys have already said, it's been it was a very cool thing to be in the early days of really all your meditation experiences and helping introduce you to that stuff. And I know it wasn't just me, but to hear all you guys and like the different versions and pathways, and like, because all I did or anybody else did in the beginning was just introduce you to that stuff, right? Here's a little something, something. I still got the honest guys on my YouTube feed. I still got the instrumental John Denver. I'll still throw that out every now and then. I've expanded, of course, but I still got it all. The first meditation that I ever listened to with my wife, who was not my wife at the time, Catherine, was this little Oriental lady, and it's just a really cool. It's still the very first one on my feed. So love to hear you guys' experiences on all that stuff and the different versions. And I know that's one of the things that it does take. Corey, you're absolutely right, man. That like it's not so much the lifting and levitating and floating around with God that I'm looking for. It's the payoff is really in the discipline of doing it, making it a part of my daily life. One of our pieces of literature talks about prayer and meditation as separate entities and how strong and powerful they are separately. And then it goes on to say that, but when used together, prayer and meditation together, they form an unshakable foundation for life. Now, I think I can speak for all of us that we all have challenges in our lives. We all have obstacles. We all have ups and downs, for sure. Learning experiences, call them whatever you want. But I think compared to what we all used to be, we've all got a pretty solid, unshakable foundation for life. We're pretty aware of who we are as people. At least I know I'm very aware of the areas in my life that I need to work on and continue to work on. And some of those I've been having to work on for a while. I'm also very aware of the things that I do very well, right? I am humble in the sense that I know exactly who I am and I can bring that person to the table. I don't try to be anything less than or more than what I am. I meditation for me is, you know, surprisingly enough, I do miss a day or so here and there, and I don't meditate. But for the most part, it's part of my daily routine. I'm situated now in my life where even on some mornings, I'll get up and I'll be up for an hour or two getting the girls ready, helping Catherine with the girls, getting them off to school on the days it's my days to take them to school. And I have a job now that I'm not in the office but 2 days a week, so I'll come home after taking them to school or doing all that stuff, and then I'll meditate. Right. So sometimes I've been awake for a few hours and I'll do it. If I maybe hit the snooze button a few times and I don't do it first thing, I definitely try to do it first thing. I'm an early morning meditator kind of guy. But I don't always, but I'll come back at 9-10 o'clock sometimes and go in and lock myself in the room for 20 or 30 minutes and do it. I once played a game with myself to see, like, I challenged myself to see how many days in a row I could meditate, and I got to 83. And then, it was just something that was, I don't know. And it's not about like the days you do it and getting lost in, because it can become, to Greg's point, mechanical, right? It can become a little mechanical. And a guy that you guys all know well, that I've talked about, my Mr. Emmett Fox, is he talks about how however you pray is however you pray, and you can say the same rote prayers every day, as long as I am stuffing those prayers with fresh feeling and fresh resolve and new meaning on a daily basis. Like, that's really the most important thing, whether it's the childhood prayers I learned as a kid, or whether it's just talking to God throughout the day. Bill and I used to walk around the Salerno Basin at like 5:30 in the morning and do these Tony Robbins meditation, where we literally were like, part of it was screaming at the top of our lungs.
Scream like Tarzan.
Screaming at the top of our lungs.
Morning.
And we did that, and I've done the Wim Hof stuff too. Bill introduced me to that. So that's kind of the cool thing. We introduce each other to new stuff, and mine's expanded. I do, whenever I start to feel stale in one form of meditation, I'll switch it up to a different form. And there's so many different forms out there, and there legitimately is. We could go down this and talk about this for so long, and that's eventually is going to be one of our podcasts. We'll dedicate it specifically to types of meditations down the road. But I love you guys. Bill, thanks for opening up with that stuff. I know that's not always the easiest to do, and maybe this is the perfect platform for it. But that's just good stuff. Just good stuff. So any quick parting thoughts? We're at our hour cap, guys.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that while I said that the hardest part about meditating is the discipline of doing it, that everybody has time to meditate. Especially when you're in recovery, I'll speak to those people specifically. You got time and I got time.
No, everybody.
It's just not us taking it.
If you don't have 10 minutes, you should do it for 20.
Yeah, 100%.
Ooh-wee.
And also, JJ McCarthy will be out of the league in probably 3 years, I would say.
Oh, we'll take that. I like
Hey,
JJ.
Sixers are winning too, by the way. Sixers are winning.
My boy alone.
Good bet, Corey.
I'm gonna win $2.
Still got the whole fourth quarter.
Corey, next week, live from gambling rehab.
Shout out to the listeners. Shout out to our listeners. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in your requests, whatever you want to hear, anything you want us to talk about. We would love to talk about it. If you just want to talk about recovery or our experience, or if you're struggling with something, we're always here for that
Treatment
too.
industry.
Treatment, there you go, exactly.
Gambling.
Special shout out to our producer, Miss Janine Stella. We love you. We thank you. And to all our listeners, good night. God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We'll see you next week. Cheers.